thank you all for coming. I know you're all here for Dr. Devor's intermediate and advanced heart rate. I saw most of you at his first one, so we're thrilled that you're all here. We also have Rachel Aldrich out front. She's actually participating in MS Run the U.S. They are running across the United States to benefit MS. So she's actually having a bake sale out there. And you start, what's the date again?
August 6th.
August 6th. She's running 245 miles from Fort Wayne to Youngstown. She's an Otterbein graduate. She's going to be going to graduate school after she runs her 245 miles at the University of Akron. So if you'd like, she's got her bake sale going on out front. You can take part in that at any time. I'm sure she would gladly take any just donations of any kind. So we're thrilled to have her here this evening as well. We also have Mizuno here, Elise and Jay from Mizuno. They're going to be hosting the Sayonara Social afterwards. They put out this lovely new shoe. Contrary to the boot on my right foot, the shoes treated me splendidly in my marathon in Montana. So they had nothing to do with the boot. So without further ado, we have Dr. Devor and his intermediate and advanced heart rate talk.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for coming, everyone. I want to start out by saying, so I think you guys all know that we've sort of, this session of MIT, we've kind of redone the education sessions. Rather than having one or two nights that are really sort of long and epic and require a lot of attention at the end of a long day, we've done these kind of shorter things where afterwards we do a little run and whatnot. And when we were putting these together, we kind of, were thinking of topics and whatnot. And we got the mind name, Devor can do this and this and this. And we kind of thought, well, we need beginning heart rate guided training, intermediate and advanced heart rate guided training. At the time, I'm like, okay, whatever, just tell me the dates, trying to get them in my calendar. And as I came home from campus this afternoon to sit down and start to think about this a bit, I was kind of thinking, So there's really, you're either doing heart rate guided training or you're not doing heart rate guided training. There really is not beginning heart rate guided training and advanced heart rate guided training. So my assumption is that you're all here, and I know some of you were the first time I went through this, you have more than a passing interest in embracing this and doing heart rate guided training. So I have some slides, very similar to last time, but I really want to make sure I answer your guys' questions about this. And so with that as a preamble, let me ask you one more question. How many of you that are here have I tested at Max, have had a test done? Raise your hand a little higher. Okay, so not all of you by any stretch of anyone's imagination. You guys, I really, again, by virtue of you being here, you're obviously interested in learning about this and perhaps doing it. I really want to strongly encourage you to make an appointment and have that test done. For those of you that have done it, I would ask that you talk to other people that haven't. You're not going to die. It's going to be okay. It's only 10 to 12 minutes. It's not that bad. And honestly, the information you get from it is extraordinarily valuable, and I promise you, it will make you a better runner, okay? So with that said, I want to just go through the slides kind of quickly and just make sure I answer your questions about heart rate guided training and just go over some general things. So, like we talked about last time, maximum heart rate. A lot of people, you hear a lot about that. There's prediction equations for that, 220 minus age. For females, sometimes we use 226 minus age. There's also another equation I'm going to show you. The bottom line is they're all estimations. They're not your own individual true max heart rate. We know that 220 minus age works for about 30% of the population. For most people, it underestimates or overestimates, and there doesn't seem to be any pattern. The only pattern I've noticed in 20 years of doing this is that for older, fitter women, meaning, older, meaning over the age of 35, so you get to, I'm not saying that's old, so for 35 and older women, okay, I'm 47, believe me, I don't think 35 is old, so for older, fitter women, it starts to really fall apart. It starts to really fall apart, this 220 minus age thing. Men, it's the same thing, but not to the same degree. So maximum heart rate, you guys, as much misinformation as there is about it, it's determined by two things. Did you pick your parents correctly? And how old are you? It's genetics and age. That's what determines your maximum heart rate. fitness level has no influence on max heart rate. And what I always say to people when they come in to get tested is, imagine you have a clone of yourself. You, person A, and clone B. The A is aerobically a fit version of you as there possibly can be. As fit as you can possibly be aerobically. B is 100 pounds heavier, smokes, drinks, has a wretched diet. Both of you have the exact same max heart rate. You can't train max heart rate. Max heart rate doesn't go up as you get fitter. It doesn't go down as you get less fit. It goes down as you get a little older, hence the 220 minus age thing. The idea is that every time there's a new candle on the cake, we take another beat off your max heart rate. It really doesn't work that way. It goes down more in steps, we've noticed through the years. But that would be very difficult to make an equation for that. So we use 220 minus age, 226 minus age. So fitness has no influence on it. You can predict it again by 220 minus age. Honestly, you guys, if I can get people to understand that, that's a major thing. If people think, oh, my max heart rate is bad, it's only 180. I know Rachel has a max heart rate of 193. She must be a better runner than I am. No, that's not true. I always tell this story as well. I'll tell it again now. Frank Shorter, Olympic marathon, 1972, American, won the race, had a max heart rate of 174. 174. Won the Olympic marathon. Not a bad runner. Okay? So max heart rate does not make a champion endurance athlete. What makes a champion endurance athlete is what percentage of that can you operate at for a long period of time. Shorter could run at 170 for 26.2 miles. Like 97% of his max. He could stay there, he could stick it there and keep it there for 26.2 miles. That's what makes a champion endurance athlete, not how high the number is. Don't become obsessed with mine's lower than someone else's. As much as I hate this expression, it is what it is. Max heart rate is determined by two things, genetics and age. So there's two methods that you can use to predict it if you're not going to come in and have this test done. There's what we call a straight estimate and then the Carbonin formula estimate. The straight estimate, again, is one you guys are very familiar with, 220 minus age. You take the desired percent. I want to work out at 70% today, 80% today. Let's assume we're all 20 again. Yeah, right. So 220 minus 20, so your max is 200. So we're going to do a run at 70%. That means you're going to get 140 beats a minute. Okay? So with the Carbonin formula, you need to know your resting heart rate. And you take the percentage, again, 70%. Then you take your max. Where do you get your max from in this formula? 220 minus age. So even this is tied to this straight estimate. Then you subtract your resting. This one is much more aggressive. The 220 minus age thing is very conservative. As I say, the only people that should use 220 minus age are people that are older adults, which would be nobody in this room, people who have never been running before, which would be nobody in this room, because you're all training for at least a half, I'm assuming. So that means you've been doing some running before. So running, or you've been walking for a while. Or if you're newly pregnant and you have not been exercising before. If you've been an exerciser all along and now you're pregnant, keep going with it. I mean, there's some cautions you need to take, but then just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you lay in bed for 9 months. I mean, we don't do that anymore. You just keep doing what you're doing with some cautions. So honestly, you guys, this is out the door for you. You do not use this estimation equation. It's way too conservative. If you're going to use an estimation equation, I want you to use this one. You'll have these slides later. You don't need to write it down now. Again, less fit beginners, older adults, pregnant women who have not been exercising. This one is for fitter, more experienced individuals. Let me show you though the difference in these, how great the heart rate range is for these two things. So we're going to use 70%. So 70% of 200, and assuming 220 minus 20, you're 20 years old, 140 beats a minute. So we'll use 70% for Carbonin. 60 beats a minute, that's our guess resting, whatever it would be for you, plus 70%, there's your 70%, 200, 220 minus age, minus 60, the resting, max minus resting, 158. So we're both going to be running at 70%. Here you're at 140, here you're at 158. You guys, that's almost 2 entire zones. That's almost 20 beats That's a huge difference in how hard you're working. If you're not going to come in and have this test done, use this equation. Do not use this. You're never going to be working hard enough, which means you're never going to get as fit as you could be, which means, here's the part you care about, your race times are never going to be as good. If you're not working hard enough, you're not going to get as fit, you're not going to race as well as you could. So if you're going to use an estimation equation, use carbonate. And so to determine your true max heart rate, we do this VO2 max test in a clinical setting. I do all these at Max Sports at Olentangy River Road, where Dr. Bright's office is. That's where he sees patients. I do them in the back. Some of you know Joe Simcoe. He's one of the PTs there. It's back where Joe is. We have a room where Terry Hammer and I do these tests. We do it on a treadmill, or if you're a very experienced cyclist, we do it on a contact trainer. That would be nobody in here. I'm not saying that none of you ride. You may ride. But unless you're a professional or just sub-professional cyclist, you should always do it on a treadmill. Or if you've never run at all, like riding is all you do, then I would do it on a bike. But the reason we prefer to do it on a treadmill is because that's going to give you a higher value. A cyclist, a professional cyclist, or someone who's just sub-professional, they're so efficient on a bike, they can make up for the difference. That's not most of us, trust me. That's not most of us on a bike, okay? Even if you're, oh, but I do triathlons. I've got a $10,000 bike. I must be good. No. Does buying a $200 pair of shoes make you a faster runner? No. Having a $12,000 bike doesn't make you a good cyclist. You know what I mean? I would too. I get it, but that doesn't make you a good cyclist. So, it's a max effort test. You all know this if you've done it. As I say to you at the very start, it's only 10 to 12 minutes long. It's over pretty quick. But like I also say to you, I'm not going to lie to you, the last couple of minutes get a little hairy. Okay? You're going on a hill, you're going pretty fast, and the bald guy is yelling at you. Right? I mean, I'm trying to get your best effort, that's what I want. Right? And you all know that. I mean, I'm not being mean, but I'm trying to push you. I want your best effort, because the better test you give me, the better data I get, which again means the better you get out of it down the road. That's what we're trying to do here. I'm not there saying, okay, if you want to stop, go ahead. I mean, what the hell good would that do you? No good. That's why I don't do that. You're not 90. And I've done these tests on people that are as old as 102. The oldest person I've ever tested was 102. Older woman, and she got on the treadmill, and we got her up to a max speed of 4.5. That was her max. Just ramped her up really slow, just like I did all of you. Just started real easy. So, if someone that old can do it, I mean, you know, many of you aren't even half of 102 in this room, so you can do that. So what it, again, permits is precise, individualized. That's the word you underline in crayon. Individualized heart rate zones. That's what's so important, you guys. Again, we do them at Max Sports Centers, and when you do it, I spend, you all know I've done this, I spend 45, 50 minutes with you, walking through the whole thing, explaining what's going on. That's very important. So, heart rate training zones. There's 5 of these. Again, for me, if there's one difference between I'm just starting heart rate guided training and I've been doing it for a while, this is where the difference comes in. And I say this to people when they come in and get the test done. If you've never done intervals before, if this is your first time through MIT or your second time through MIT, and your first time was just my goals for you, make the race, don't hate it, right? That's your first goals, first time a marathon or half marathoner. Then you come back again, maybe it's your second time or third time. If it's your first or second time, zone 4 and zone 5 don't exist for you. I don't even want you to think about doing intervals yet. I want you to just get miles on your legs, build your aerobic base, make the race. Enjoy it. When you get through the tube at the end, I want you to think, yeah, I do that again. Then I know we've succeeded. The intervals are going to be there in successive seasons. That's when we'll start to introduce those. For me, you guys, that's really the only difference between beginning and advanced. As you do this for longer, then I'm going to want you to start to do the Wednesday night workouts with Jeff Holmes. The 800-meter repeats on the track, the quarter-mile repeats, the mile repeats, the 1,200 repeats. That's when we start doing those. And frankly, if it's your first time doing intervals, I don't want you to do any zone 5 intervals. I want you to stay in zone 4. Once you've done this for a while, then we'll start to beat on you a little more. Then we'll get you doing some zone 5 intervals. We'll get you up there towards your peak, get you, how does that feel? That's when we'll start to introduce more of that. Initially, it's 1, 2, and 3. Active recovery. Most of your miles are going to be right here. Your long, slow distance, zone 2. That's your long Saturday runs, and most of your other runs as well. We'll do a tempo run now and again. Okay? Tempo run now and again. And then we might get into zone 4 and zone 5 intervals. So again, I'm assuming if again you guys are here for the advanced heart rate guided training talk, how many of you are currently using heart rate guided training? Just be honest. Raise your hands high. Okay, so not all of you. Honestly, you guys, and I know I say this facetiously sometimes and make a joke about it, but quite honestly, if you're serious about your running and you want to drop your times and you want to get better and you want to, as we say, train smarter, not harder, use from your shoulders north. Use your brain. Professional endurance athletes do this. I say this all the time. I know a number of them. I've tested a number of them. This is the way they train. It really is. And as I say to people, if it's good enough for people to get a paycheck to run for a living, it should be good enough for us. And it is. It will make you faster. Is it sometimes crazy frustrating at the start? Yeah, because the number one thing I'm going to want most of you to do is to slow down. Because most of you are running way too fast, way too often. And you're way too fatigued. And that's why, well, I ran a 4:30 marathon. What'd you do the next one? Oh, 4:30. I'm trying to get faster. What did you do the third one? Oh, 4:31. Well, what's wrong? You're doing all this training. A 4:32, 4:29. Now, wouldn't you think after 4 or 5 marathons your times start to drop? Yeah, they should if you're training correctly. Once you've done a couple, you guys, to drop your times, it's not just about putting in all the miles and following that training program that we lay out for you. You've got to start to do some of this. But you've got to start to do some of this. You've got to allow your body to recover. You really do. So most amateur endurance athletes spend all their time training in zone 3, flirting it up into zone 4. And it's what I call, again, training never, never limit. It's not nearly hard enough to get you really fit, but it's nowhere near easy enough to allow you to recover and get rid of fatigue. And the older you get, the more important it is to not do this. Now look, you're in high school, you're in your early 20s, I get it. You get hammered every day, you're going to recover, chances are you're not going to get injured. That was me, I get it, then I got a brain, okay? Then I started to listen to all that stuff I was being taught in graduate school and telling other people, I thought, oh, maybe it should be good for me too. And it is, right? So, I mean, I understand. I was there. It's hard to get your head around it at first, but it does work. Even Dr. Bright, and we all have high regard for Dr. Bright, and we should, he does this now with great success. With great success. Forgive me, I'm going to say it again. You've heard me say this before, some of you. Dr. Bright never did this, even though he knew about it. He knew these talks, but he didn't do it. And he wanted to go to Boston. He wanted to qualify for Boston. He missed qualifying 8 times. He started to do heart rate training. He qualified the next time. He got faster. It works. There's plenty of success stories just at MIT alone. People that you know, your peers, Dr. Bright, other people that you know have success with this. So, again, it's not hard enough to become race fit. It's nowhere near easy enough to recover from fatigue. And the consequences of this kind of always beating on yourself is that you're not going to be able to do intervals as well. And you guys, you're much more likely to get an overuse injury. And how many of you have had experience with plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, IT band problems, all that, what we call overuse injuries? I mean, quite frankly, what Jeff has now. And like Jeff posted on Facebook, right? I mean, his weakness is he wants to work too hard, too often. I'm not picking on Jeff, I love Jeff, but that's the problem that all of us have, or we tend to all have. We think, if I don't work really hard today, my workout was a waste. Do you think that Ryan Hall thinks like that? Do you think that any professional endurance athlete, they don't, you guys. It's up, it's down. It's up, it's down. It's in the middle. It's not always, for most people, the only thing you change is the distance that you run. I ran, how many miles I ran today? 4 miles. So how fast did you go? Oh, you know my pace, 8:10. Oh, okay, so tomorrow, how far did you go today? Oh, I went 8. How fast did you go? Well, 8:10. Tomorrow, what do you have this weekend? Oh, we got 18 miles. How fast did you go? Well, 8:10. What else would I do? That's what I run. I'm an 8:10 person. If I'm not with the 8-minute group, the world will stop rotating about its axis. Slow the hell down. There are other paces. It's okay. You're going to be okay. That's what this is all about. Don't be this person anymore. Just slow down a little bit. Right? So I want you guys, professional endurance athletes do this. They embrace heart rate guided training. I just consider committing to this. Just start to think about it. Start to think about how can I use heart rate guided training to make myself a better runner, because that's really what this is all about. The other benefit to this is, I think, the secret. Unlike, like sometimes there's like these dirty little secrets, like, SUVs, right? The dirty little secret about SUVs is that they all get really horrible gas, and all like, nobody talks about that. It's like, we just want a big SUV. The dirty, good little secret about this is, you're probably going to enjoy your running because you're going to slow down. You're going to actually enjoy it. Now, there's going to be days when I'm going to beat on you, when I'm going to want you to work really hard. But then the next day, we're going to dial it way back. We're going to enjoy the long runs because we're going to talk the whole time with our buddies. It's going to be more fun. And that's what the one thing people always tell me. Not only am I getting faster, I'm enjoying running now more because I'm allowing myself to slow down during important workouts. And then when I do the interval workouts, A, I get more out of them and because I'm not fatigued when I get to the track. And so you get a better workout out of it, but B, the intervals are not something I'm dreading when it's Monday and the workout isn't until Wednesday. How many of you are like it? It's like, oh my God, it's Monday again. Jeff's going to beat me on the track on Wednesday. What are you doing? What is wrong? It's Monday and you're freaked out about going running on Wednesday? None of you are professional endurance athletes. Why are you freaked out at all about running? You got a job, family, kids, a whole bunch of other stuff you could be freaked out about. Running, that should be your release, not Monday, I'm freaked out about Wednesday. Slow down. Slow down, okay? Learn your true resting heart rate. This is the one thing I'd really like all of you to do, if nothing else. Learn your true resting heart rate. Over the next 2 weeks, take 5 or 6 days. They don't need to be successive days. In fact, they shouldn't be successive days. And they shouldn't be weekend days. They need to be days, as I say, when you have to go to school the next day. When you have to go to work the next day. So Sunday night through Thursday night. Assume you guys work Monday through Friday. Adjust accordingly, right, if you work on weekends. So, after as normal a day as possible for you, whatever that is, everybody's normal is different, I understand that. Go to bed, I want you to wear your chest strap to bed, okay? I want you to wear your watch to bed, your heart rate watch. When you first wake up in the morning, when you first wake, not after you've gotten up and voided your bladder, not after you've gotten up and splashed water on your face, you're still horizontal. When you first wake up, turn over, turn on your monitor, get a resting heart rate. Get 5 or 6 data points. Do that 5 or 6 times. Average that. That will give you very good insight into what your true resting heart rate is, you guys. Now, the reason I want you to do that is this. Well, first let me tell you why I don't want you to do it on weekend nights. People, on weekends, they tend to A, stay up later, B, have more food, have more alcohol, have more caffeine, maybe all the above. All of those things affect your resting heart rate. Staying up later, more alcohol, more food, more caffeine, they all affect resting heart rate. So do it on a day when it's a normal day for you, okay? So now you know what it is. Now what I want you to start doing is taking it relatively frequently. This is what we mean when we say, start to tune into your body. What's my body doing? How am I feeling? Take your resting heart rate in the morning. Take it most mornings of the week once you know it. Let's say that you guys figured out and you know your resting heart rate is 50. You wake up one morning, now you're still horizontal, you wake up one morning and you take it and it's 56. You haven't done anything yet today and your heart rate's already 6 beats higher than it should be. You're fatigued. You're fatigued. And if it's Wednesday and you're supposed to do an interval workout that night, My advice is I wouldn't do it. Because you're not going to have as effective of a workout as you could. You're not going to give your body as good of a stimulus, so you won't get as good of an adaptation from it. The track will still be there on Thursday. I go by on Thursday, it's always there. You can do the workout on Thursday. It's okay. Jeff posts the workouts. I know you might not be with a big group then, but bring a buddy with you. Because chances are one of your friends is fatigued too. Trust me. So bring a friend with you. Do it on an alternate day. It's okay, you guys. And this is what I mean. And we are excellent at MIT about doing this. We've got all these great training plans. They've been refined for about 12 years now. They're all posted. It's all fancy. You can go to it on any medium you want. My God, it's on Twitter almost. I mean, it's everywhere. Right? So, and everybody's got their training plan. Hold on to your training plan. Don't choke it to death. There's got to be room in there for life. Again, you're not a professional endurance athlete. You have family, kids, jobs, other responsibilities, things that you do. A lot of things can fatigue you. Let this filter in and do it as effectively as you can. Do the speed workouts when you're going to get the most out of it. If that's Wednesday, fantastic. That's when most people are there. That's great. If it's not Wednesday, that's okay as well. Just listen to your body. Tune into what your body's saying. Yes?
So once we have established our resting heart rate, like let's say we get up and, I mean, I'm not planning on wearing my chest wrap in bed every night.
Nope.
So like, but like once we have it, do we get up and put it back on, or can we use our phone
No.
once we?
Once you guys know what it is, then how am I going to take it every morning? Because I'm not going to wear my chest strap to bed every night. I wouldn't either. I get it, okay? I mean, how conducive is that to, you know what, right? You got your chest strap. I'm with that, okay? So, you know, just be honest. So, the way I want you to take your heart rate, resting heart rate in the morning, once you know what it is, I still want you to be horizontal. I want you to do this. Elbow flexion. Get a carotid pulse. Don't do it here. Don't do radial pulse. Get a carotid pulse. Find it right here in your neck, your carotid artery. Find it right there. Count for 30 seconds. Multiply by 2. Okay? You don't need to wear your chest strap. But I want you to wear your chest strap, you guys, initially, because I want you to really accurately figure it out. And then once you get used to, this is very accurate. Once you learn right where to push and how to get it. But for most people that aren't used to doing this, carotid pulse is sometimes hard to find. And then like 20 seconds in, it's like, you know, I lost it, I start all over. And then you like start to get mad, and there goes your resting heart rate. So just take it carotid once you learn how to do that, okay?
Dr. Devor?
Yes.
If you have the opportunity to wear your heart rate monitor, the chest, and how long do you go until you know you just watch the beat until
Once you guys, if you're wearing your chest strap to bed and you get up and you wake up in the morning and you turn on your monitor, as soon as it picks it up, it's accurate. You don't have to sit there for 20 seconds and think, oh, is it getting it right? As soon as it gives you a number, that number is right on.
So if it goes down, keeps going down, just wait till it stops going down? Or?
Yeah, I mean, chances are, again, though, as soon as it grabs it, it's got it.
Okay.
It's locked onto it, and that number will stay constant. Unless you're not relaxed. Now, if you sit there and then relax, you might see it drop down a few beats. But once it's locked onto it, it's got it.
Okay.
Okay. So, again, very good predictor of body fatigue. And now, again, I'll be honest, with you guys, as a scientist, there are a couple of ways that we can measure fatigue in my labs at OSU that are a little more accurate, but they're invasive, they're very expensive, and they require an overnight stay. And it's not worth it. I mean, this method gets you within, for most people, 1 or 2 beats. I mean, and you're laying in your own bed, and it's free. I mean, well, you got it by the heart rate monitor, but I hope you all have that anyway. So this is not an expensive way to do it, and it really, really gives you great insight into how fatigued am I. So again, you guys, smarter, not harder. That's what this is all about. Fitness doesn't increase while you train. Training stress creates an adaptation. Any biological system, even a whole human being, you stimulate something in biology, it adapts. If you stimulate this enough, it adapts. The stimulus is all the training that you're doing. The adaptation is the fitness that you get. So the idea here is to give yourself the optimal stimulus so you get the optimal adaptation. That's what this is all about. So again, if you're a training Never Never Land person, and you go to the track on Wednesdays and do your interval workouts, can you do them? Can you gut them out? Can you get through it? I have no doubt in my mind. You're strong-willed, you're going to do it, but you're more likely to get an overuse injury then. And you're not giving yourself as good of a stimulus. So you won't get as good of an adaptation. That's what this is all about. Smarter, not harder. Nobody's in their early 20s anymore. Smarter, not harder. Okay? Oh, maybe one or two people are. Well, good if you are. Okay? But I wouldn't do it even then. Hard training balanced with adequate recovery time. You get greater fitness gains for the same amount of training. Trust me. Rest is more than a necessary evil. It's okay to rest. You're not going to get fat overnight. You're not going to lose all your fitness overnight. Your jeans are still going to fit the next day. Just rest. Let your body recover, and then hit it hard. And then do a tempo run. You've got to be in all the different zones. Questions? Yes?
Heart rate monitoring, trying to VO2, trying to get available.
Yeah.
So it's quite a ways away.
Right, I mean, you guys, so what's your just point of third?
I'm just saying, don't expect to get it done like.
Yeah, you guys, the point up here, or the comment is, we're really booked. I mean, there's only a couple of days a week that I can do these tests at max. I've got this other gig at OSU that I do, this whole professor thing. So there's only a couple of days a week that I can do these tests at max, and they're Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. And right now, Carrie and I are booked basically until about the end of August. I mean, she sent me an email today and said, give me some September dates. So we'll get you in. We'll get you in, we'll get you tested, but just, the sooner you ring and say, hey, I want to have it done, you get in the queue and we'll get you scheduled. So I know some of you might be scheduled for the end of August or middle of August, and then, there's vacations in there, and Carrie's going away for about a week and a half in August, so, there's things that happen. So we'll get you in and we'll get you tested. And you guys, honestly, what I would say at this point, we're into the thick of training for the autumn marathons at this point. So at this point, what I would say to you, if you come in and have your test done, learn your zones, start practicing a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily start using heart rate guided training full on for this next marathon. Just do your thing, slow down a little bit, start to pay attention to the heart rate zones, start to use it in earnest in the winter when you're training for the spring half or spring full. So if you come in and get it done now, you'll learn your zones. I would start using them, but don't worry. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is getting the test done now will ease you into it. Embrace the idea of heart rate training, start using your zones a little bit, learn what they are, and then we'll have you full on do it in the next session. Quite honestly, once you get your zones, you can start doing it. But the reason I say go full on in the spring is because for a lot of people, what it necessitates is a change in your Saturday pace group. Because you have to slow down. And so I understand right now, I'm used to running with the 1030s. I don't want to leave that group. Fine, that's okay. Just do your thing for this session. In the spring, we'll get you in the correct group based on your heart rate zone, not on where my friends are. Okay? That's what's most important. One more question.
Once you determine the max heart rate, how do you come up with the zones? Is that just the percentages?
It's just percentages, and it's based on, when I'm watching your data, it's based on how your CO2 values are as you go along in the test. It's based on where your anaerobic threshold is, which is something I'm watching. So
It's more than the percentages.
yeah, it's more than percentages. And again, you guys, that's why you can't really do this from an online thing. Because an online thing is just going to have you, it's going to be based on a whole pool of data from a whole bunch of people, and it's going to just have you do percentages. Is it going to be close? Maybe for you, yes, but is it going to be your own data? No, of course not. And for some people, it's going to be way off. For others, it might be fairly close. I can't lie.